Hello everyone, this is Siddharth Mehta. Welcome to today's practice exercise on fiction passage. So if you have seen my last video, I have discussed the approach to solve the fiction passage. The approach to solve the fiction passage as compared to normal passage is slightly different. And I hope you have watched that video. Today we will be solving one passage and 5 questions around it. Right. So first and foremost, before I proceed to the exercise the way I do normally, today what I will do is I will just quickly recap how to approach a fiction passage. What are the things that you can do to approach a fiction passage? Right now, why this different approach is required? Because fiction passages are slightly different, and so we need to approach them differently. So for example, in a normal passage, your main objective when you read the passage is to identify what is the main idea or the argument of the author. So a normal passage, this is what you are supposed to do, to identify what is the main idea or argument of the passage. But in a fiction passage, there is no such thing as main idea or main argument. It's very difficult to identify. So you need to focus on few elements, like who all are the characters and what are characters doing, what are their personality traits, the adjectives used to define them. So focus should be on around characters. Focus should be around development of the plot, how the plot has been developed, what are the various objects that author is used to develop the plot, and the third is the writing technique. These are the three things that you need to focus more on in a fiction passage. Right. Now, how to solve it? Here are the things to do. Read the questions first. Why? Because there are a lot of background information given in a fiction passage that you may not be required to answer the question. So it is always better to read the question and then start reading the passage, so you know from which area question has been asked. Identify the narrator, whether narrator is a character or author himself. So there is a possibility that a character himself is narrating the story, or narrator can be the author. Differentiate between the opinion of the narrator and the characters. While reading the passage, focus on the adjectives used to describe characters. Right? So what are the adjectives used to describe characters? Next is keep a broad sense of plot and setting, symbol, mood, and description. These are the things that you need to keep in mind. I have discussed each element in much elaborate and detailed fashion in my last video. If you have not watched it, please do watch it. That will help you to understand the approach in a much better way. Because today's purpose is solving the passage, here is the passage. I have picked this passage from the novel The Shadow Line by Amitav Ghosh. You can stop the video, read the passage. Yeah, firstly, let me show you the questions. So this is the first question. Which of the following is the most possible reason for author saying, I would pretend to myself that I was walking? So wherever this line comes, I will focus more, right? So next, what can be said about the reasoning pattern of the author in the last paragraph? So question is picked up from the last paragraph. I will focus there. Which of the following can be inferred about the author? It seems like the characteristic or the traits of the author. So wherever the description or adjectives is being used, I will focus there. What role does the tune of the song Bekaraar Karke Hame Yu Na Jaye plays in the passage? So there must be this line, and I will focus there. Which of the following suggests the best meaning of the word disingenuous as used in the passage? So wherever I come across this word, I will stop and focus more. So these are the 5 questions. Now let me read the passage. You can read the passage by stopping the video, and then we will be solving the questions. So you can stop the video and read the passage. Right. So I hope you must have done that. We also remember the question that have been asked, and with that in mind, let us start reading the passage. I would find myself wandering through Soho or around Trafalgar Square, and I would pretend to myself that I was walking for the mere pleasure of it, discovering the city. So here is one question. So he was wandering, and he is saying that he was pretending that he is walking for the mere pleasure of it. So there is something more because of which he is walking. So that is the reason that I need to find out, and that is the reason perhaps the entire passage would have been written. But soon I would find myself walking along the embankment. but then he's saying soon he will be walking along the embankment. I would lean on the parapet and gaze across the dark beds. These things are what we call as the external or the information which is not required, extraneous information, extra information, which is not required for me just describing the plot. So you can skip this part and move quickly and say, I would stop to run my hands over the cast iron lamps. I would discover that somewhere at the back of my throat, I was softly humming the tune of old Hindi song, Bekarar Karke Hame Yu Na Jaye. So again, a passage is being, question is being asked from this particular part, that why this tune comes. Now, if you read this passage further, it says that whatever the mood of the author is, the tone keeps on coming, and he automatically hums this song, right? So from this part to this part, it talks about that this tone is always, the tune of this old song is always there with the author, right? Whatever his mood is, sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's sad, but this tune keeps on coming. So that is what is given in this part. Then if we move ahead, sooner or later on those evenings, I would find myself standing on the Lambeth Bridge. So, right, his purpose perhaps is not the walk, then his purpose is something else, as we said. So now he finds himself standing in the Lambeth Bridge. Sooner or later means he definitely comes at this point. I would look across the bridge at the weather red brick castellations of the palace, and in genuine surprise, I would say to myself, why here I am at the Lambeth Bridge? Since I have come this far, I may as well walk to Stockwell and visit Ela. Right. So this looks like the purpose of the walk, right? He's saying sooner or later I visit this place, Lambeth Bridge, and then I start wondering that since I am here, let me walk to this place called as Stockwell and visit Ela. So Ela is the person, and the author wants to visit this person, and that is why the entire thing is being done. Then I would walk across the bridge, lean on the railing, and think of reasons. So a question was asked from the last paragraph. So let me read it properly. This is the last paragraph. Let me read it properly. Then I would walk across the bridge, lean on the railing, and think of reason why I should not go on. So now author has said that he wants to visit Ela. He's saying that since I've reached this point, let me go and visit Ela. Then he says that he starts thinking why I should not go. Then he thinks of the reason why he should not go, that it was too far, the rain would get worse, I had already been there twice that week, Ela wouldn't be at home anyway. So there are several reasons that he tries to give that he should not visit Ela. So firstly, he pretends to walk, then he reaches a particular place, and that pretense is to reach that particular place and think that whether he should visit Ela. The first side is no, he should not visit because of these reasons. And then I would carry on this argument with perfect disingenuousness. So this is the word of which we have to answer a question around this word. I would carry on this argument with perfect disingenuousness, as though I were merely eavesdropping on a conversation between two old friends. All the while, the skeptical part of my mind, the part that knew perfectly well why I happened to be on Lambeth Bridge, would be silent. What author is trying to say here is that he allows his mind to argue like this. And there are two sides of perhaps his mind. One mind is the skeptical part. He is just allowing them to converse, the other part to converse. And then that part would say, okay, fine, enough of conversation. Let me go and meet Ela. So all these things are argument, and author is saying, I would carry on this argument with perfect disingenuousness. I am carrying this argument with perfect disingenuousness, with perfect disingenuousness, as though I were merely eavesdropping on a conversation between two old friends. So he's saying I am doing it in a manner as though I'm just listening to the conversation between two old friends. He is showcasing some kind of artistic art skill here, that this is the way he's carrying forward his argument. And all the while, the skeptical part of the mind knows that why he is here. He is here to meet Ela. And then I would not allow myself to listen to it. So he's not allowing himself to listen to that skeptical part. But once I had decided, a great weight would lift from my heart, and I would hurry across the bridge and walk faster and faster till I was almost running all the way to her house in Stockwell. So ultimately what happens? Ultimately, Author listens to the skeptical part of the mind, knowing that why he is here, and then he rushes to the house of Ela. So what has happened here is that in the last paragraph, author is giving the reason that why he should not visit, and his mind knows that he is here for a particular reason, right? But all the arguments that he is giving that why he should not visit Ela's house are pretense at best, right? So let us solve the question. Which of the following is the most possible reason for author saying, I would pretend to myself that I was walking for the mere pleasure of it? So we know that he is not walking for the mere pleasure of it. He wants to visit Stockwell. So let us look at the answer. Author is suggesting that the walk is more than a pleasure for him. No. Author is suggesting that the walk is an excuse to make a visit to a place that he wants to visit. Yes, this is the answer. Easy question. Almost 80% of these students, 75% of these students who marked got it right. Let us look at C. Author is suggesting that he enjoys the tune more than walk. No, he has not suggested that. He says that tune automatically comes. Author is suggesting that whatever happens to him on the banks of Thames is just an illusion, out of purview. Nowhere it is given that it is an illusion or reality. Okay. So first, very easy question. Second, what can be said about the reasoning pattern of the author in the last paragraph? What is the reasoning pattern here? What is the reasoning pattern here? Reasoning pattern is author knows that why he is there at a particular place, but he tries to falsely convince that he should not do that, and then finally gives into it that yes, he should do it. So he is there to meet Ela, and then he tries to convince that okay, he should not visit perhaps, and then the other side of the mind knows that he eventually author will go to Ela's house, and that other side of the mind is silent, doesn't participate. Then author gives into the temptation and goes to Ela. So what is author doing? Author has the end in mind and builds the logic to reach that end. Yes, looks a very good option. Second, author takes the step depending on the happening of an event. Is there anything which tells that author is taking a step happening on depending on the happening of a particular event, that if this happens, then I will go to Ela's house, and if this does not happen, then I will not go to Ela's house? No, this is not the answer. C. Author is unsure of his action and is wavering in his reasoning. Now, looks a very, very good option. A and C. C says author is unsure of his action and wavering in his reasoning. Is author unsure of the action? Right from the beginning, author has pretended. He said that I pretend to myself that I'm doing a walk for the pleasure of it. So author knows that what he is there for. Yes, he is building quite a few logic here and there that I should not go, I should go, but he is not unsure of his action. Plus, he is not wavering in his reasoning. What kind of reasoning is this? This is perhaps a kind of circular reasoning where author has the end in mind, and then he tries to convince that I should not go to that end, but then he gives into that. So everything that has been done is by the author is to visit the Ela's house. The entire description is about that only. Answer is option number A. Many students have marked C, but author is not unsure of his action. Author knows that what he wants to do. He's just pretending that he is unsure. They're trying to convince that he should not do that action, but ultimately he does that. So very tempting option. I know that quite a few students have marked it, but the right answer is A, right? Next, which of the following can be inferred about the author, about the traits of the author? Author loves to sing one particular tune. So let us see. Here it was mentioned. So from here, we can't say that author loves to sing one particular tune. In fact, it says that he doesn't even know that why this tune comes to his mind. So one is cannot be inferred. Author loves eavesdropping. The word eavesdropping is mentioned, but we cannot say that he loves eavesdropping. He's simply saying I eavesdrop, but we cannot say that he loves eavesdropping, right? Yeah, let us read that part. Yeah. And he's not eavesdropping. He is comparing as though I was merely eavesdropping on a conversation. So we cannot say this. Author is keen to meet someone named Ela? Definitely. Author undergoes mood swings? Yes, author undergoes mood swings as suggested in these parts of the first paragraph. Sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's sad. So answer is option number 3 and 4. can be inferred. Next, what role does the tune of the song Bekarar Karke Hame Yun Na Jaye plays in the passage? Why this particular tune has been used? Now, always the tune, the objects are used to heighten the mood or the emotion that a character is trying to portray. So we have understood what emotion the character is trying to portray. So let us mark the answer. It is used to set an ornamental value to the passage. These kind of things will never be the answer, that it is just for the sake of ornamental value. It is degrading debasing the author, that just because for the ornamental value something of this sort has been written. So this cannot be the answer, guys. B, it is used to highlight the ironical character of the author. No, nowhere in the passage I can say that the character of the author is ironical in nature. So this can't be the answer. Out of purview. It is used to set a comical tone to an otherwise somber passage. Is the passage somber in nature? Somber means dull in nature. That is an opinion of a reader. I mean, the author will never write. It's very difficult to mark such kind of thing as an answer. That author has used it because he thinks that, okay, my passage is very somber. Let me put a comical tone to it. It will not be the answer. Answer has to be D. It is used to highlight the restless state of mind of the author. So author is restless. What should he do? Whether he should go, whether he should not go. Whenever he is happy, even then he goes. This tune comes into his mind. He walks to Lambeth Bridge. He goes to Ila's place. When he is not happy, the tune comes to his mind. He walks to Lambeth Bridge, and even then he goes to Ila's place. So answer is option number B. Last, which of the following suggests the best meaning of the word disingenuousness? Disingenuousness was used here. So what is it? Impassioned. Impassioned means very passionate and fervent. So will he listen the argument very passionately? In fact, he is trying to say, I'm listening it dispassionately, not impassioned. Impassioned means fervent. Right, so this is exactly the opposite of what author is trying to convey. Answer should be dexterity. Dexterity means skill. I am listening this with lot of skill, trying to portray that I'm not part of the conversation. I'm just listening to the conversation. I'm not part of it. But eventually, that part of the mind itself tells or guides what the author should do. So answer is option number B. Frankness and outstanding are definitely outstanding. I think this is completely out of purview, and frankness is the opposite of disingenuousness, so this cannot be the answer. So that is it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed solving this passage. Thank you very much.